Hello, people. It's your boy Osman back again with another Rival Fan podcast. Yes, we are back. As you can see from the title, there's a lot to discuss. Ronaldo hat trick, Arsenal finally finding the winning formula. Well, I suppose it's been a while. They are on good form. Man City have just bottled it. We will be going through that, and of course, we will be looking forward to Manchester United Champions League. Big clash against Atletico. But before we get into all of that, I'm joined by the homie, my brother Kish is in the building. Kish, how you doing, my guy?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm well, as good as I can be anyway after the weekend's result. Seeing your pretty face is not ideal right now, but I'm here. I'm not ducking, as people always say I usually do. So
Yeah, you do, to be fair, normally.
I'm here for the vibes. I'm here for the vibes.
Yes. Evening, Shahid. Good to see you here. As always, please do slap a like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are expected to be joined by Kale and Daniel, but they're already late, so I thought may as well just start without them, and obviously they will join us as we go along. We're going to start with the most recent game, as we always do here in the Rival Fan podcast on a Monday when there's a game, Monday Night Football and all that. We cover that game first and foremost. Of course, we do have to speak about Chelsea and their situation, but we'll do that when Daniel arrives. First things first, Man City 0, Crystal Palace 0. Huge moment in the title race. Of course, as a Manchester United fan, I'm absolutely devilled. It's a shit position for us to be in as Man United fans, but it is what it is. Kish, what did you make of the game?
Yeah, to be honest, as you'd expect from a usual Man City team where they have most of the possession, the opposite team on the counter have opportunities, which, to be honest, Crystal Palace had not quite a few, but they had a few good chances there, to be honest, in the first half. Yeah. Second half, though, tactically, I'll be honest, you've got a bench with the likes of Gabriel Jesus and Sterling, who Sterling in particular was scoring goals not until up until recently. So I don't understand in 90 minutes plus of football how you don't feel it's necessary for you to change it up a bit, in particular in the second half, where I think Foden had only had 5 touches in that whole first half. So you clearly know that your false 9 is not really getting into the game and he's not doing much. Then why not put your out-and-out striker, to play, i.e. Jesus? Why not play Sterling, who's obviously more of a goal scorer than, say, Grealish, for example?
Yeah.
So it baffled me that in the whole duration of the game, he didn't feel necessary to freshen legs, which kind of says to me a bit about Pep that you can tell he's starting to panic. He's definitely starting to panic now.
I mean, you're right potentially in terms of the panicking. Obviously, I can't say you're right definitively, but there does seem to be an aura about City at the moment that they're all going to bottle it, and I've been saying that the past few games as well. And obviously, this is off the back of they've absolutely embarrassed my team. So people say, what leg have you got to stand on this one? But I just feel like with City, because they had such a huge advantage, 14 points. I know Liverpool had those 2 games in hand, but even after the 2 games, it's still 8 points, which is a lot, isn't it? 8 points is a big gap between City and Liverpool. Since then, of course, it's been clawed down now to 1 point if Liverpool do go ahead and beat Arsenal on Wednesday. But nevertheless, the game itself, I'm absolutely perplexed at the fact that Sterling has not seen the pitch, not even for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it may be. I mean, it's baffling that you need a goal and you've got a manager here who's got 3 options. You've got a Gundogan on the bench, more than capable of finding a goal. You've got Sterling, as you mentioned, and you've got Jesus. Foden, for me, an absolute shocker. I don't think he had a good game at all. I mean, I don't know what other people think. I haven't really seen what Twitter's saying, but for me personally, I thought he got into a lot of good places and decision making was poor, or he wanted too much time on the ball. Basically showing why he's not a striker, which is fair enough. Of course, that's not his natural position. Grealish, for me, I thought had good moments, but overall it wasn't good enough. Didn't offer enough. I thought the main threat, of course, was KDB and Mahrez in moments. But Bernardo Silva today has missed countless sitters. He missed that sitter that was a rebound. He tried to take the keeper on. He missed that one at the end as well. It was laid on a plate. It was harder to miss the target than it was it was actually harder to miss the target than score. And he somehow put it wide. So for me, it was just one of those days for City. Of course, I don't want to overreact too much. Obviously, as a Man United fan, it's like as I already mentioned, it's a horrible position for me to be in, having to support City basically. So Liverpool don't win the league. But coming back to City as a whole, I think Pep does have to take a bit of responsibility. Of course, the players are liable for the overall performance, but Pep has to change something there. Daniel, what do you make of the City result? I don't know if you watched the game or not. Also, welcome back as well. It's been a while. The famous curtains are back. You love to see it.
Trust me, man. It's good to be back. Just to chill. To be honest, man. Fam, I haven't had time to chill in ages, man. But City, yeah, man. Look, I'm the same as you. I want City. If I can't win the league and it's between City and Liverpool,
well, Chelsea, you might be back in that already.
I understand. There's like 10 games left. If we win our game and hand over City, we're 8 points behind City.
Listen, and you never know, man. Chelsea was my hope, but you let me down, man.
Yeah, that December period just flopped us. And the thing is, we've lost the same amount of games as City. We've just drawn about 8 of them. That's the issue. So yeah, we just flopped. But no, man, City. Look, I don't know how you lot feel, but I just feel like City have just handed the momentum to Liverpool. If Liverpool go out, especially knowing that City drop points, they're gonna go out against Arsenal firing because I genuinely thought before the game Arsenal could get a point from that game just because of the way Arsenal have been playing. Obviously, it's going to be hard for Kish to hear it, but Arsenal have been playing well. They're doing well. I mean, I don't like the revisionism on Arteta. Like, he was doing badly before, but now he's doing well. So,
do you know the worst thing about this whole thing is as well, Daniel? I feel like Tottenham have actually helped Liverpool. Because with the Diaz situation, Diaz wasn't part of their transfer plans until the summer. Yeah. And now he could actually be the catalyst in them winning the league because the impact he's already made, i.e. the goal that he scored the other day, he's been influential since he's got into the team. And it just gives Liverpool more attacking options that you don't just need to play Salah, Mane every single weekend. You can switch them around with a Jota or Diaz. And that, for me, infuriates me as a Spurs fan. I'm not going to lie.
I think it's double, bro. Like, you got that, and the point I've always made is that, like, even despite me not liking Liverpool, one thing that I've always agreed is that the squad hasn't been that great. But now Klopp's got a squad, like, he's got subs, legit subs. They could play Henderson, Thiago, and Fabinho, for example, in the midfield, and bring on Naby Keita, bring on Diaz, let's say, if he doesn't start, or bring on Jota, or bring on Firmino. Like, they've genuinely got options to bring off of the bench. And then the second thing is you not only help them in terms of Diaz, but you helped them by beating City. Like, beating City is what has blown the title race open. So I don't know, Tottenham, man, just helping everyone right now, isn't it?
Yeah, apart from themselves, and they're absolutely useless out there. Listen, it's the most Spursy thing to just slap City and then lose to Man United, isn't it? It's bad, best Spurs, it don't even make sense. Like, you would have thought it would be the other round. But coming back to the game itself, look, obviously we kind of alluded to Liverpool there to an extent. But for me personally, as you just mentioned, Liverpool have now got options off the bench. And as me and Kish have said, I think Pep's had an absolute howler today. I don't know what's wrong with the guy, but he didn't want to bring Sterling on. Sterling's been in unreal form. All of a sudden, just drops him cold turkey for Grealish, and Grealish had like a run of games now, 3-4 games. To be fair to Grealish, he was very good against us recently, but he didn't have a good game. He didn't really impact the game as much as you would like, given the amount of possession that they had. And you've got game changers on the bench, and for whatever reason, he didn't want to make a sub. And for me, although you got to look at the players because they've missed some sitters, you've got to look at Pep as well, because I think I just think for me, I don't know if it's his stubbornness or I don't know what it is, but it's just baffling. Like, it's just no changes from him. De Bruyne seemed like the only player that looked like was going to make anything happen. He wanted that win badly, but the other players for me, Bernardo.
I really don't get the Sterling situation for me, because it was only a few weeks ago where he was scoring the Champions League in that first leg. He scored a hat-trick in the Premier League, and he was getting all the accolades, all the plaudits, and then he drops him for a few games, and then he only played the dead rubber game in the week.
He was on fire. Sterling was literally on fire.
Yeah.
It's like he's on like 5 goals in like 2-3
Unless
games or something
something's happened in
stupid.
training, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's
but that's
weird
what he
how he
does.
just
That's why you
completely
don't buy
drops it.
City players on FPL. The guy just drops them, and it don't make sense. I was literally just about to buy Sterling, and then all of a sudden he's no longer featuring. He's not even getting a minute. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
make sense. He's
you
got
can't
Jesus on the bench,
deny
not
it.
getting a minute. Bernardo's had an absolute stinker for me in front of goal, and he stayed on the pitch. But you got a Gundogan who's more than capable of finding the back of the net, as we saw last season, of course, Yaya Toure and all that gish. So he's got to use one of them, but he's bringing one of them on. But look, ownership in Liverpool's hands. Massive game against Arsenal. Before we do move on to some of the other games, we may as well mention it as we're on the topic. Liverpool, good win over the weekend. It was pretty straightforward for them, to be quite frank honest with you. Professional performance to an extent. But that Arsenal game, Kish, what do you reckon? That game, Liverpool against Arsenal, who would you
Do you
fancy
know
for
what?
that one?
On paper, you would say, look, it's a comfortable Liverpool win because they seem to batter Arsenal every time they play them for a good few years now. It's not even been close. But if you base it on the form guides, Arsenal the most informed team alongside Liverpool since the turn of the year. So you have to look at those factors, and you've got to pay attention to them. But again, every time Arsenal have come under these kind of big tests, whether it be the League Cup semi-final against Liverpool or whether it be other games against the so-called bigger teams, they've struggled bar that 2-1 win against Man City earlier in the season. So it will be a big test, and I've seen a lot of the Arsenal fans, like they always do, chirping up, saying that this is the one, and the reason why I like this game so much is because it's a big game for both teams. It's even bigger now for Liverpool because they know that they need to capitalize on the City result. But it's also a big game for Arsenal because if Arsenal lose this game and in the top 400, I know they've got games in hand, but they've got they're not easy games in hand, and they've seen Man United just pick up the 3 points as well. And even though, like we said, the game's in hand, it's still there, but you still need to pick up the points. If Arsenal lose this game, it does put the pressure right on them. So it's a big game for both teams. So I don't really see any of these two teams really fighting for the draw, to be honest. So it's going to be an entertaining game.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Daniel? I don't know. Kish, you said you brought Arsenal off there to an extent. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, just because I'm just basing it on previous. And when you're a title charging team like Liverpool are at the moment, and they know that they can't slip up here, I just feel I can say this is why the first goal is so important, because if Liverpool score within the first half hour, it could be riot. Like it could be a really, really big score. But then if Arsenal score first, then that completely changes the dynamic. So for me, it is literally it goes down to whoever scores the first goal, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Daniel, what do you reckon?
I think for me, again, it's literally about whether or not, first of all, Arsenal don't let Liverpool take advantage. Like, Liverpool normally score like in the first 20 minutes against Arsenal. They've got to try and weather that storm. They've got to make sure they're disciplined. They need to reinforce that. They can't get any silly red cards in this game, because then that just ruins their chances as well. But I genuinely believe, look, Arsenal are one of the form teams in the Premier League. They're playing really well. I think they've won their last 5 games. So personally, I think it'll be a mistake to write them off. Obviously, you have to take into account a bit of Kish bias. Like he's not going to want Arsenal to win under any circumstances. But look, they're playing. I watched the Leicester game on the weekend, and I was even annoyed. Like they're actually playing good. Like they popped it. They were popping it really nice, and I was just like, "Rah, Arsenal are what? Maybe they're back." Won't go that far, but look, they can definitely. If there was ever a time I thought Arsenal could give Liverpool a good game, and whether or not you think Liverpool or Arsenal will cause them trouble or not, I think they'll give them a good game. Like they will have passages of play where they surprise you, where they pass it around Liverpool, and that high line, you just never know. With Martinelli, Saka, they would love that high line.
Good point.
That Liverpool play. So you just never know. I will give it to Liverpool, but I will not be surprised if it's like a draw. Like a draw, I think is reasonable.
No, I agree with you in that aspect as well, Dan. Don't get me wrong. It pains for me to say, but Arsenal are cooking. I mean, if you look at the players, if you look at their first 11 and you look at the average age groups of these first 11 as well, granted, Arteta's been helped the fact that he's been backed, numerous occasions by Arsenal. And I think if he was managing Chelsea, he probably would have been sacked about 10 times by now because that's just how cutthroat Chelsea are. So Arsenal have given him every bit of backing and support, not only letting go of players on high wages, but also adding to it. But if you look at the youth that they've got now, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, who I said at the beginning of the season, 35, 40 million was not a waste of money. He's a very, very talented creative midfielder. And you're starting to see that. Partey, and Lokonga, etc. And their defense, they've got a solid defense and a back line. Like they are cooking, and it does worry me because these players are players that aren't at their end product yet. These are players that, if they stay injury free, are only going to improve. So for me, when you've just got Kane and Son,
You've seen that comment in the chat.
It's quite worrying. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I just want to quickly wish Conrad a happy birthday, bro. Obviously, I did tweet you earlier. Hopefully,
happy birthday, Conrad.
Thank you for tuning in, man. God bless you, bro. Nippon's saying, bet Kish is a Liverpool fan on Wednesday. Kish, what are your thoughts?
I hate Liverpool and I hate Arsenal.
I was thinking you hate Liverpool. I don't know why you hate Liverpool, though.
I obviously, because I need, any hope that we have. I need Liverpool to win. So yeah, I'll go for Liverpool.
Bro, so I'm having a debate with the lads in the chat now, with the family group, and everyone's like, Usman, why do you want Arsenal to get a result? Like, because basically, the way I see it, it's like I'm stuck in a rock and a hard place. Of course, I need Arsenal to drop points, but at the same time, I want Liverpool to drop points because I don't want them to win the league. So the way I see it is, of course, I want Arsenal. A draw would be the ideal situation, but I wouldn't even be upset if Arsenal win, because I feel like if Arsenal get top four, it's on merit, man. We don't deserve top four. And I know that's like almost like a hypocritical comment because obviously all I've raved about is getting top four. But at the end of the day, we don't deserve it. So if Arsenal beat Liverpool and it stops them from winning the league and it means we don't get Champions League, I kind of would take it because we're in the Champions League. We've been in Champions League for 4 or 5 seasons now. We've not done anything anyway. So for me personally, I don't care if Arsenal win the game. Just to clarify very quickly, because that's something that people keep asking me, why you like supporting Arsenal, basically. I'd rather Liverpool don't win the league. It's as simple as that. But regarding the game itself, I'm intrigued to see how Odegaard gets on, to be quite frank and honest with you. I think he's been Arsenal's best player for the last couple of weeks, without a shadow of a doubt. Obviously, people are comparing him to Ozil because he's got a similar he's got a similar style of playing, the way he is aesthetically on the eye. I'm intrigued to see how he gets on against a proper DM in Fabinho. Because obviously he occupies those spaces and he was really good the last game. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. But moving on from that, I don't know if I've crashed or not. Have I crashed? I feel like I've crashed.
No.
Oh, I haven't. What the hell? You both just really still. I thought I've crashed because you both haven't moved. Right, okay. So obviously in terms of Arsenal, look, end of the day, it's going to be a tight game. I do think Arsenal got the capabilities of hurting Liverpool, as you both have mentioned. But I just think Liverpool are going to beat them because they just always tend to do a job over them, like as we've said. So I'm going to probably go 2-1 Liverpool. But listen, let's move on from the title race itself. It's looking likely that Liverpool are the favourites if they are to win Arsenal, because of course it would mean it's completely in their own hands. Nevertheless, let's talk about another team in London. Let's talk about Chelsea. Obviously, Daniel is here. Of course, there's some questions I don't know if I can ask you. So, just give me some sort of signal. So we'll start with Kish first and foremost. Kish, what are your thoughts on the Chelsea situation? We haven't well, I think we did the show and everything happened at the day after the show. So we've not actually spoken about it on air. A lot has happened, performances aside. What have you made of that week for Chelsea?
For me personally, it's a weird one, because obviously I know Dan's been quiet for the last few weeks. Understandably, if it was me, I'd probably be in the same position. But it's tough because it's like it's been one thing after another. I think the first thing when he made that statement a few weeks ago about how he's gonna give it as an advice, he's gonna remove his kind of role away from the club and give it to Petr Cech, etc. You're like, okay, at least he's kind of taking a backseat. He's completely removing himself from the situation. But then once the government got involved, it completely stamped down on the whole situation under the authority. Now, look, I'm looking at this in a very, very open way, right? And people might not agree with my opinion on this, but the way I see it is you currently, not only in the Premier League, but in world football, have ownerships that are highly, highly disregarded. For example, Newcastle, which was only just the ownership only just got transpired in January in terms of how it proceeded. Now, the UEFA, FIFA, and the Premier League knew all about their ownership, all the deficiencies, everything to do with their legal streaming, everything to do with their treatment of humanity, which has been well documented, but for some reason, not as much as the current situation because it's more European in terms of what's been going on. However, the way my standpoint is, why not treat that situation the same as this one? Because what Abramovich has done is he's used his own alliances for his own game, which again I don't agree on. But is he the only one in history that's ever done that? Is he the only one that's done that in recent times, i.e., Newcastle? No. I'm not comparing and contrasting, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to make such a big standpoint of a club and an ownership and the model in terms of everything that's happened and it seems like they're investigating things from the past, etc., and everything seems to be coming out day in, day out, then why not also investigate other ownerships? Why have you let an ownership of a club that's recently transpired happen when you have the fit and proper conduct? Where's all that going to play? It just feels to me that the Premier League have realized that they can absolutely, because the government is backing it, they can make an absolute mocking out of a club here because they know that everything is on their standpoint. Whereas when it came to the Newcastle situation, they felt pressurized for whatever reason, even though the Premier League it's their product, it's their kind of baby in a sense, that they decided to let things happen and transpire. So on that standpoint, I'm like, where's justice all around them? Because if you're going to use this one as a standpoint, then there's various other clubs and various other anomalies within the world of football where illegal transactional information is put into place in terms of the financial dealings of these clubs. So my standpoint is, if you've done it now, why haven't you done it beforehand? And why are you using one club over another? Is it because it's in the media now? Is it because it's a war of Ukraine? Or is it just because the government feels so pressurized by it that they just need to make some kind of statement, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think you made a couple of good points, and I kind of want to just add to that. Like, the way I see it is very straightforward.
By the way, just add, I don't agree to anything listen, whatever is currently happening in the world, in terms of what's happening in Ukraine, my heart goes out to the people there, and I hope, and I pray to God daily that, things get better. So my argument isn't against the current world situation. It's more against the ownership.
Yeah, of course. It's nothing to do, obviously. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, always with Ukraine. But in terms of, like, it's very straightforward for me, to be honest with you. Like, we don't really do politics on the show, but because of what's happened with Chelsea, we kind of need to veer into it to the extent. I just think it's an absolute disgrace, and I know the people won't agree with that comment. The reason I think it's a disgrace, not again, as Keisha said, enough. Obviously, what's happened in Ukraine is obviously extremely poor, but this whole Roman thing for me, it just reeks of like the government trying to make an example of someone. Basically, I mean, you've got Newcastle, right? Again, I'm happy for Newcastle, etc., whatnot, but they've just been taken over by Saudi, who probably one of the most corrupt countries in the world when it comes to basically what they're accusing Roman of. Saudi have gone through so many genocides in Yemen, Syria, X, Y, and Z. Obviously, don't go into too political difference, but anyone from the Muslim world or the Middle Eastern world doesn't like Saudi Arabia because they're literally the most corrupt country within that part of the world, and you've just allowed them to take over Newcastle, literally, and now potentially they might be overtaking Chelsea as well, which we'll obviously discuss. But you've got Saudi there, so that's one obviously consortium owners. They've just got it come in. Then you've got the Glazes, then you've got the Kroenkes, then you've got Usmanov, who've all potentially done stuff as well. I'm not saying they have, but you can't just say, you can't just pick and choose and say, we're going to get rid of Roman and then put Chelsea through all of this turmoil. You got to look at every single team, because I'm assuming there's more other issues within the club or other clubs as well. So for me, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous how they just picked on Chelsea to an extent. It's not fair on the fans, obviously, and the players as well to an extent. I saw Carragher say something earlier that Chelsea basically bullied teams for 20 years. It's just hypocritical of their fans now complaining. I mean, as a football fan, I couldn't give two shits if my club's done X, Y, and Z. At the end of the day, as long as they follow the rules, which UEFA haven't ever had a problem with them in the last 20 years. Whether you think they follow the rules or find loopholes, that's not on Chelsea fans or that's not on the board's problem.
That's
on
part and parcel of football, man.
No, exactly. Every team's done it.
Carragher needs to look closer to home. Liverpool did the exact same thing to Southampton for years.
They're doing it with Van Dijk. They literally tapped up Van Dijk. So it is what it is. But the point I'm making is, if you're gonna come hard, onto Chelsea, you're gonna come down hard on them. You've got to do the same for every other club in the league, because it's not just Chelsea that may have potentially controversial owners. And again, this isn't about Ukraine. This isn't about Palestine. This is about, for me, the Premier League as a governing body not having bias or having their own interest at heart, which is, that's the government stepping in and making us look better as an entity, or look at us doing something positive for the world. I mean, obviously, Daniel, I don't know what you can actually speak about on this matter, so I'll pass it to you. Obviously, if you can't, by all means, we'll skip past it. But what are your thoughts?
I think, look, I hear what you lot are saying. Like, I just think, yeah, it's a classic case of basically when a situation arises that's like impacting like political situations and whatnot, and governments have to react, and it involves football, then they feel like they need to stand on the moral code or moral ground that they haven't been maintaining for all decisions. So my personal grievance, or just anything to do with the situation, is just the fact that, look, I don't mind the sanctions if they believe that Roman is genuinely doing something wrong. Obviously, look, I'm not going to get involved in the political side of things, how Roman is involved with Ukraine and whatnot. But what is happening in Ukraine is obviously devastating, and no one wants to see that. However, like when it comes to these situations, we just need to see a little bit more consistency from the government in terms of what's going on, what are we allowed to do, what can't we do, and then thinking things through. Like, there's been a lot of part-time staff, freelancers and whatnot that would have to be let off and things like that because of these sanctions, because money is frozen and they can't be paid to people that have jobs. So they're essentially affecting the British people as well. So why didn't they think of a way to do this where they genuinely were sanctioning Roman and not affecting a lot of people's work? So imagine Roman wanted to fight this thing out or drag it out. Does that mean that a lot of people who rely on this as their second income or even primary source of income, that means they're also going to be let off as well? Does that mean they don't get paid for that long as well? Like, what happens in that situation? I don't think the government thought this through. So that's the only like bit of like annoyance that I have, that people have to suffer at the hands of a situation where they haven't really thought things through. And as much as maybe some people might say, oh, but that's Roman's fault, but I don't think so, because the government, again, want to take control, want to take over the situation. If you want to do that, then you have to do it in the right way, go about it in the right means. They had more than enough time to come up with a way to sanction Roman without it affecting so many people's jobs and so many people's livelihoods. So then there's that. And then the other side of things is, look, at the end of the day, we don't want the situation to happen 10 years down the line with the next owner. Do you know what I mean? So as long as the right processes are taken, they've investigated the new owners, the people that they want to take over, whether it be the Saudis or whether it be the American. We just want a successful owner, someone who can get anywhere close to what Roman was able to do, because there is two sides to it. Whether we can get to what Roman was able to do, we could be worse and we could be even better. Like, you just never know what could happen with new ownership. Just someone who can make us even better, which might be tough because Roman did so well. And hopefully we're fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, to be fair, we will be fine. Like, all the administration talk, I think that was a bit far-fetched. The banter was funny though, I can't lie. I was laughing at some of the tweets on Twitter, but yeah, man, like, that's it really. Like, yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously a very positive way to look at it. But like you obviously went into, the people that are suffering, are the people that work for Chelsea. Really, at the end of the day, potentially, as you mentioned, some of them may not be able to get their first income, second income, whatever it may be, and it's definitely not fair on them people. They're everyday people just making a living, and the fact that they're having to suffer as well off the back of the government's negligence is poor. Once again, our government is letting the people down, and it doesn't
They've
really
really not
surprise me.
thought this through at all, in my opinion.
Was
Dan is
it?
right. If you're going to sanction someone, sanction Abramovich, but don't sanction the 500 plus workers that Chelsea have under their books. For no fault of their personal own. They've not done anything
They've
themselves.
got absolutely no control of it. That's the thing. At the end of the day, like they have absolutely no control of what's happening with Abramovich, and some of them may not even know what's happening with Abramovich. But yeah, for me personally, I still stand by what I think. I think it's a bit disappointing that they're only picking on the one person. Obviously, being a Muslim myself, and part of the Free Palestine movement is extremely disappointing because obviously, when Ozil came out or X, Y, and Z came out, when Pogba actually last season held the Palestinian flag after the end of our season, he got fined for it because people said don't bring politics into sport. And when Ozil said his bit, he got fined for it. And all of a sudden, there's Good Samaritans again. So I just don't like that part. But listen, let's move on from that. Obviously, Havertz, just quickly before we do move on, let's just quickly talk about Havertz's goal because that was absolutely world class, Bergkamp-esque. That touch and finish he missed a good chance earlier. Actually, the header, I thought he should have done better with that one.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Havertz. I've been defending him tooth and nail in the WhatsApp groups because apparently I overhyped him. So I'm just happy he scored. To be honest. But listen, what are you guys' thoughts as a whole at Chelsea? Because at the moment, I just feel like you're just playing for the sake of it because you haven't really got anything to play for in the league. You're not in the title race. You're not in the top 4 battle, which is obviously beneficial for you lot. You're just kind of in this limbo period that your players not really bothered, just waiting for Champions League.
I mean, yeah, I would say both, but we don't want to get sucked in because you lose one game and then suddenly.
To be honest, if you drop points that game, I was thinking, we might be able to catch you, on the slide one.
Do you know what I mean? Like you don't want to give the people below you confidence that they can catch you, basically. So that's why my personal opinion is the longer we can keep winning, the less damaging it will be when we do eventually drop points. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So like I believe we will still drop points at least one more time this season, but it depends on when we drop points. Will Man United, Tottenham, Arsenal and West Ham also drop points that same weekend? Do you know what I mean? So all those things come into play. So as long as we can keep winning, because 10 games is still a lot of games. I think we got 3 games now. We got Brentford, we got Southampton, and we got one other game which is winnable. If we win those 3 games, I think we're
you must admit though, Dan, you are a really, really poor watch for a team of the amount of
you've been boring to watch.
You are really. I've watched you not as probably not as many times as you have because obviously I can imagine you probably watching every game. But every game I have seen you play this season, and I've probably seen about 10, 15 games in all comps of games that you've played. And every single time I've been very unimpressed. It's just getting the job done. Don't get me wrong, you get the results. It's a results business. But for entertainment value, I don't know if games that you might have seen that I haven't. I don't know, but I've seen a fair few, and it's been
look, that's fair, innit? And I think attractive football is very subjective. On my side, it's going to be biased because I obviously support my team, so I'm going to watch every single game. I'm going to think it's interesting, so that's fair. I'll take that on the chin, innit? Like if I have to take that, innit? But
it's a results business. If he keeps winning, which he has been,
results business, and also on top of that, like people also forget that. Okay, cool. Let me give the perfect example. Vieira's just come out in his post-match presser and said that Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City are 3 of the best 5 teams in Europe, and a lot of other teams have acknowledged that. And I don't think you acknowledge that one without recognizing how good we are as a team. And you have to play some sort of good football that gets you results. And that's what I think we do. We're very, very efficient in the way that we play. We're just
you're a typical Jose Chelsea team, man.
To an extent, because one thing that people aren't taking into account or allowing us to mention, and I don't know if you guys see it as an excuse. It's going to be interesting to see how you see it, but we haven't had our full strength team for a majority.
I know, I agree. I
Reece
think
James,
Chilwell
Ben
and James is a
Chilwell,
huge
like
miss to you lot, man.
massive misses, and they're the ones
Yeah.
who provide that thrust going down the wings, going back and forth, and the backups just aren't it. Like Malang Sarr is playing left back, left wing back at times, and then on the other side it's either Azpilicueta, against Newcastle it was Chalobah. It was literally Chalobah who played right back / right wing back, and those are just not up to scratch.
You got rinsed, man. I felt
the problem that you're going to have is the two fullbacks that you have, attacking fullbacks in Chilwell and Reece James. Throughout their career so far, you can see that they're very injury prone. So you will seriously. I mean,
I don't think Reece James is, but I think Chilwell is. To be fair,
no, he's had a few injuries this season, Reece James, and even last season.
But
the one thing I would say, obviously, providing the ownership and everything, whatever happens with that, I do actually feel like you'll need good secondary options, because at the moment you've got centre halves playing in those positions.
I think Wan-Bissaka might be available if you're interested.
No, and I don't know if you guys watched.
Emerson Royale's there as well.
I knew you were gonna say.
My dad can cross, I'm telling you.
I think Ben Davies.
Look at. Did you guys watch the game against Juventus at Stamford Bridge?
Yeah, I watched that game.
4-0 quality. That was actually the last game where.
Because I was watching that game and I was thinking Chilwell's a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah,
every attack was coming through.
Chilwell's a problem. Like just the fact that you have both of them there, you see how effective Reece James was when we won against Burnley.
Yeah,
and then he gets injured in the next game. So just for me, I just want us, just for the neutral perspective, just so people can maybe change their opinions of us. And obviously, I don't really care about people's opinions of us, but just for like argument's sake, if we can have a full season, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea going at it with their full strength team and seeing who comes out on top. Because let's not forget, before we started getting our injuries, before our bad form,
you were playing well, to be fair, at that point.
We were top of the league.
What you need is a couple of things. You need those fullbacks to stay fit, probably 30 out of 38 league games, right?
Yeah.
And you need the Havertz after January to be the Havertz before January, because he's done it about 2 seasons in a row.
What about that other geezer?
Well, listen, that's my other question for you. That's my other question for you, because with Havertz, if he continues to perform the way he's doing, then there's no way back, really, for Lukaku.
I don't even think it's a question. I think right now, Havertz is the number 9. It's clear in Tuchel's mind. Havertz started the final, which is a big, thing to choose.
I don't think there's any way back for either Lukaku or Werner, to be honest.
I mean, look,
Why does he not play Lukaku on the wing? Left, not wing.
No.
But basically left forward. Basically,
I don't think that's not what he wants in his.
I know it's not what he wants, but at least he's just going to give him minutes.
The maddest thing is, because Havertz plays as naturally as a centre forward, him and Lukaku would actually work.
That's what I'm thinking.
I just don't think Tuchel wants to do it.
But he's not tried it.
Look, at the end of the day,
apart from the goal,
we're playing well with Havertz up front. Burnley 4-0, Havertz up front. The game before that, 3-1 against Norwich, Havertz up front.
I do want to see him next season, though, Dan. I do want to see I want to see what he can do for a whole season, because he seems to pick his moments.
One of these German experts was saying that Havertz will show up after January, that he just needs time. And obviously, Havertz has had COVID twice since he's been at Chelsea. This season he had COVID, and he just took so long to get back into form. I don't know why. So let's just see what happens from now. I think now
he's a top quality player, Daniel. Man.
Yeah, he is, man.
He's a top quality player, man. I've seen him at Bayer Leverkusen, bro. I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah,
he's raving about him, man, bro. When I used to watch the Bundesliga last season, Havertz every week causing havoc.
Yeah.
Honestly, top quality player. And same as Sancho, obviously don't want to make it about my night, but same as I have to drop in there.
Unlike Pepe, is money well spent.
Yeah, obviously.
Havertz doesn't just have one foot, you see. So
unlike you, Kish. Well, listen, Sancho and Havertz, man, they were always going to come good, man. They're techie players, man. It was just a matter of time in it. But listen, let's move on to Manchester United as we are discussing the matter. There's only one place to start, isn't there, Kish? Cristiano Ronaldo, rolling back the years. It was like he was 24 again. Honest to God, I've forgotten how good he was, I'm not going to lie. He's not had a great season for Man United. Obviously, I love the guy to bits. He's my GOAT. But he's not had a great season. But every time he plays you lot, he turns up. First game, he turned up as well. Got a goal, got an assist for Cavani.
No, he's crashed. Do you know what it is? Just to follow up on what he's, because I'm so glad that he got paused. I actually, weirdly enough, I thought we played really well on an attacking front, not on a defensive front, of course. But it's weird because we had if you look at the XG, which I don't know if you guys follow up on, but we were literally, we should have scored at least 3-4 goals, in my opinion. We had that many opportunities in the final third. We had majority of the possession, which at Old Trafford, we never have majority of the ball, to be honest. And I don't actually think United played that well. It was the fact that Fred had a really good game. I can't lie. And Ronaldo, and it's been on at least several occasions this season where Ronaldo's got United out of trouble, and he's just, if it wasn't for him in the Champions League, you wouldn't be in the last 16. Simple as that, for me. And it's frustrating because Ronaldo has to turn up in that game where it's against us, and again you fight for top 4, and you just know. And look, big game players like him are ready made for these sort of moments. The only thing I would say for me as a defensive point of view, we were an absolute shambles. I understand that goal that he scored, the first goal was fantastic.
Bro, I can't believe how much time he had.
But Eric Dyer didn't even bother. Yeah, Eric Dyer didn't bother. Second goal, I thought it was offside until I saw it, and I was like, "How poor is our back line there that you've left him literally the back man that far ahead and still leaving that offside." And then the third one, I mean, no one's really marking Ronaldo. I thought, wow, he scored this header. It must have been one of his historic, looping jumps for the header. He barely moved, Ronaldo, to be honest. He just did a standard squat jump, and he managed to head that in. And it's poor because it's like every time we scored in that game, I thought, right, that's it now. Here we go. We're now going to score the next goal, and we're going to be rampant because we were the better team. Anyone that tells me different is a lie, because we genuinely played better football. You just had that one man who is Cristiano Ronaldo, the goal, in my opinion. And look, that's why you brought him back. And any fan that says that he's part of the problem is an absolute lie, because if it wasn't for him, I can guarantee you'd be in a miles worse position than what you're in right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, in terms of what Ronaldo provides, it goes without saying, he's world class. I think everyone knows that, but we haven't seen those levels of performances. We haven't seen the performance, honest to God. It's interesting because it has come from the first time he's actually had rest. Obviously, there was a lot of speculation, fake injury. We still don't know if that's factual or not. Or it might have been a tactical masterclass from Ranić, said, look, go and have a rest to come back, because this is the first time since I can't even tell you the last time he's actually not played a game every 3 days. And at the age of 37, that's of course going to catch up with him. It would catch up with anybody, let alone someone like of his age as well. And he's played every minute of every game because Cavani's not been available. Rashford's too busy doing PR to actually get on the pitch and actually contribute to the game. So yeah, it's been difficult for him, but I'm just happy that he could find that performance against the actual good team. It was an important game for us. Whether we get top 4 or not, it remains to be seen. But in that moment, it was a very important hat-trick. So I'm happy for him on a personal level, and hopefully can carry it in tomorrow. But regarding Spurs, it was a game of two shit teams, basically. I'm not going to lie. We're terrible. You're terrible. You were definitely the better team, as you've said. I don't think anyone's going to dispute that. However, defensively, I can't believe how bad you are. That's coming from a Man United fan, because we are terrible as well. Like, Maguire is probably your best player. But it is where it is, Harry Maguire doing his thing. But your defense, I've seen so many Spurs fans raving about how Dyer's done X, Y, Z, Romero's done this, someone's done that. I mean, Dyer had an absolute mare. Bentancur had an absolute howler. He was out of position for the first goal. I know you said Dyer should have pressed him, and he probably should have. But where is the DMs? If you actually watch the goal back, Højbjerg and Bentancur nowhere to be seen. I don't know where them two guys were. Son Absolute disaster class from Son. Didn't get subbed off. He was on the floor, like
Yeah.
CVG, most of the game. I don't know what he was doing. He needed to change his boots. He didn't do it.
But do you know what it is? The one person I don't blame for this particular game is Conte. I've said it in a few games recently against Southampton, Wolves, etc., where he's not really made the right decisions, in my opinion. But I said after the 70th minute, we need fresh legs and we need some Lucas Moura to come on because it will impact. And Kulusevski, for how good he was in the last.
Kulusevski was your best player for
Yeah,
me.
he was
Without
in the last quarter. He was tiring out. You could tell his legs were gone. And Lucas Moura, I said would be perfect, but the minute he comes on and then we concede literally within 5-10 minutes, and it was just even after you scored, we nearly scored when I think it was Bentancur that put the diagonal ball to Reguilon, and all Reguilon needed to do was to just get a foot on it, and Harry Kane is there on the right hand side.
Oh yeah,
For an open goal, and that just summed up our game, to be honest. Where on the front foot we were all almost there on every occasion, bar the final third. And yeah, you're right. I mean, look, everyone goes on about Harry Kane, and I understand that it's always the main player of the team, etc. But Heung-min Son, if you're going to say people have been saying he's world class, whatever it is, blah 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 blah, then you have to dispute the fact that he pulled an absolute stinker, in the weekend. And if he did turn up in the weekend, I genuinely think he probably would have had a brace, to his name. But unfortunately, just it wasn't to be. And Harry Kane gets all the abuse as usual,
That's the standard procedure. Daniel, what do you reckon? What did you make of the game? I don't know if you watched any of it.
No, I did. Look, I agree with what Chris is saying to an extent. Then again, though, on my side, I don't think there was a clear-cut best team. I think when United scored, they sat back. Tottenham came on them. When Tottenham got their goal, Tottenham sat back. United came on them. Same again with the second goal. Same again when Tottenham scored after the Maguire own goal. And then obviously United, I think, edged it just because, literally because of circumstance, they were able to attack more because they wanted it more, in my opinion. That is it. Because as soon as you scored the second goal, I expected Tottenham to go for it. Like, go at United, try and hit them whilst they're still down. And they didn't really. And I think they were vulnerable. There was even a chance that better quality, there was a ball played in behind, and Reguilon goes with his right foot instead of his left foot. If he goes with his left foot, he literally passes it to Kane for a tackle.
That's the one I was on about.
You literally just said that, Daniel. Literally about 30 seconds ago.
No, I literally
Listen, we need major surgery in the summer. And look, it seems to me after all of his crying that it does seem like Conte is going to stay at the end of the season.
All of his crying.
No, but Chris, stupid though. That's exactly what I was about to say. That is the reason why I never thought you were going to finish in the top four, regardless of the manager that you had. Yes, Conte is a world-class manager, and he's someone who has class, who has managed great teams and whatnot. But what it comes down to is the quality of the squad. A manager's only as good as the quality that he has. Yeah, exactly. And Tottenham's squad, after Kane, obviously you have Son, who personally isn't world-class for me. He's a good player, but he's inconsistent. Again, I felt Son was poor against United. But after that, it's not great. Kulusevski obviously is coming. I think it's still too early to judge him. Like, you just have a lot of dead wood, a lot of players who are not top four Champions League quality.
I think to be honest, look, I know Bentancur didn't have the best of games, but I still think there's a player in Bentancur. I do think he's a good box-to-box midfielder that has a good touch. He can find a pass, and with Højbjerg, that works for me. Of course, he didn't turn up.
He's just a poor man's Fred.
No, I actually think he's a lot better than that, but that's just me. But defensively, look, Romero aside, and Romero didn't have the best game either, but I do think Romero is,
Romero's an absolute tosser. You see that Maguire
I think I saw that. But I genuinely
a little bit of karma, beautiful. And then Ronaldo,
I genuinely think, including Lloris as well, we need a full rebuild. We need a goalkeeper. We need two centre halves if you're going to play the back three formation that he does, and we need another right wing back and a left wing back, in my opinion. So that itself is 4 signings there and of quality, which I don't know how he's going to be able to obtain, because especially these days in modern football, where can you find 2 good centre-backs? Where can you actually find 2 really good centre-backs, which I think is going to be very difficult for him to find.
I could think of a few that you can sign, to be
honest.
No,
definitely not.
I was going to say Tomori, but I don't know you're about, Kish.
Well, look, Tomori is a top quality centre-back.
Yeah, but again, that's my problem, though. If we went out for Tomori, you're probably looking at 50, 60 million. And then you look at another defender. The defender that we've been linked to is De Vrij and De Ligt. They ain't gonna come cheap.
Delay.
Yeah. Because of Conte's connections apparently in Paratici.
Wow, is it proper gone downhill from Juve? I don't really watch Juve, to be honest.
But this is what I'm saying to you. Like, these players aren't going to come cheap. They're probably going to be 50, 60 million each. And
Delay would be a brilliant signing for you guys, man.
It would be, because him and Romero would be leaders, among men. But this is why we'll see what happens, because for a fact I don't think he's going to be able to take what happened this January. If in the first few weeks of the summer transfer,
I think Conte leaves. I think Conte goes PSG and then Poch goes back to Spurs. That's my prediction.
That's to be honest, I would not be surprised one bit if that's what happens.
I think
from Poch's side, I would not understand that at all, because this is the same ownership that let you go because you didn't get the tools that you wanted. So why come back under the same on the same position that you were in before?
But where else would Poch go realistically? Like, shit, Man United, fuck. I forgot about this. Oh, no. Oh, my God. I literally said that and I completely forgot. Bro, if he comes to us, man, I'm going to cry, man. I swear to God, don't.
The thing is, though, Usman, the one thing I would say about Pochettino is, if you look, unless, I don't know, we don't know what the Chelsea situation is.
He's just the Argentinian Brendan Rodgers, man.
No, but this is what I'm saying. This is a long shot. But if you take him aside, there's no difference, realistically, in my opinion, between Pochettino and Ten Hag. Reason being is Ten Hag is unproven. He's been in a Dutch league where it's like being in the French league where you win it almost every season. Granted, he's had results.
Yeah, Poch didn't even do that last season.
No, what are you saying?
So yeah, but he's didn't even do that last season.
They're 15 points ahead this season, and Ajax didn't win the league last season. By the way, Ajax didn't win it last season.
Yeah, but agenda's kid. Cool.
No. But what I'm saying to you is, there's no real difference between them two, apart from the fact that Pochettino's managed in the Premier League, whereas Ten Hag hasn't. So if you're Man United and you're the board,
but if
you only two availabilities, you would go for Pochettino.
Team and you look at a Poch team, honest to God, like. I mean, this is just me, innit? Every time I watch Ajax, I'm more entertained by the way they play.
But it seems like you genuinely forget the Tottenham team under Pochettino, because we played unbelievable football. Okay, I'm not joking. We played really good football.
Team, don't even do that. I used to always back you with these dead beef stuff you had. Like, I always used to say, Spurs, I really like the way Spurs play. I hope they do X, Y, and Z. But it's not about that. Like, for me, Manchester United need to build with a manager that has aspirations of winning trophies. And Poch is capable of winning trophies, of course he is. But I just don't think he's that guy to take us.
I also think the one thing that gives him an advantage, Usman, which you might disagree with me on, the fact is he's managed PSG now, so he understands what it's like to have not only big personalities, but big personalities who have entourages, right? Where Tuchel himself has said it at PSG, you're not really a manager, you're literally a director of football and a coach, because there's so much going on. Entourage. So my thought process on that is, not only has he had an experience of managing in the Premier League, but he's now had an experience, whether it be good or bad at the moment, it looks like it's not being
great. Take him then, innit?
He's managing big personalities. I would take him, because he's more, for me, he's more of a manager ready for what we need as a rebuild than what Conte is, because Conte has said numerous times that he's not used to this position. And if you look at his CV, he's not been in this sort of managerial position in years. I mean, the only thing close to it was the Italian team, but that was international, right? So if you look at it, then out of the two, you would actually say Poch would be the better outcome for us. But it all depends on factors like how much money Conte gets, etc. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Danny, what do you reckon? Just before we move on to quickly Champions League roundup.
I think it just depends on what side of the fence you fall on, man. I never thought Tottenham was the project for Conte anyway, in the first place. So, like, I think maybe my judgment is a little bit skewed when it comes to how I think it could work. Like, going from Pochettino to Mourinho to Nuno to then Conte, it doesn't really give you an idea of what Tottenham are trying to do. Obviously, yeah, cool. Now it's like, let's win a trophy. That's what everyone's assuming. But to win a trophy, you need good investment, a good squad, and let's see in it. Let's see. Maybe the same way Arsenal don't have European football. Let's say Tottenham don't get European football this season. maybe it's not the end of the world if Conte has a Tottenham squad that only plays in the Premier League. Then again, with the Conference League, it's very unlikely you won't have European football. But let's see. Like, it'll be very interesting to see what happens next season, because I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham make like 4 signings now, as we do as fans. We think it's all great. Like, just as we saw Ronaldo, Sancho, Varane join United, we thought, yeah, United definitely back in the title race. Do you know what I mean? If Conte makes those same signings, let's see what the consensus is. Because in my opinion, for me anyway, Kish might disagree, but for me anyway, this season's done. In terms of Champions League, I don't think they can make it. I don't think they can.
Oh, it's definitely done for them. I think it's done for us. We're flipping like 5 points clear.
It's not done
I don't think it is done for you. You've still got to play Arsenal.
Everyone keeps saying that, but I just don't see Arsenal dropping points, man. I mean, look, they're gonna probably drop points.
You don't see Arsenal dropping points, Usman. You're lying. Come on.
Okay,
yeah, they've got Liverpool, they've got Manchester United, they've got Tottenham, and they've got West Ham. They've got all them.
The problem Man United have is consistency. Like, when it comes to winning 2-3 games on the bounce, when it comes that kind of
we've got no consistency. That's the problem. Like that Watford game, right? I don't know if you guys even watched the highlights to our game against Watford. After that game, when that game was happening, basically what happened with Man City right now. After that game, that was like the 4th time in a row we've had the same game happen, and we just bottling chances.
Watford, Burnley.
Bro, literally the same game. Literally we go 1-0 up, and then we concede a stupid goal. Maguire's mistake. Literally carbon copy game. We missed about 7 chances. Bruno misses a hat-trick of 1v1s. Ronaldo misses 2 open airs. Cavani misses an open air. I mean, they're all just taking their picks, really. So, for me, I just given up. Basically, with this team, Ronaldo pulled out the bag the other day. Fair play to him, but we can't just rely on a 37-year-old man. These other men aren't even doing anything. Like, Rashford's not chipped in with a goal in since West Ham or something. I don't even know what he's doing. So, yeah, for me personally, I just got no faith in the team. Fair play to Arsenal. I didn't even say it earlier. They've actually done really well lately, and I can't even knock them. The only blessing is that their fans are going to get so overhyped that they actually think Arteta's a good manager. So that's a massive blessing in disguise. Because I still don't rate him. I think he's doing a good job, but Ali had a good period as well. Doesn't mean he's a good manager. So it is what it is. But look, fair play to Arsenal. If they get top 4, they definitely do deserve it. The teams below them, us, Spurs, Leicester, they've been absolutely shambolic, to be quite honest. Leicester in particular. But I just want to finish the show on just a quick chat about Man United's game against Atletico Madrid. Obviously, it's irrelevant for you guys, but for us, it's our biggest game of the season. The only reason being is because it's the only thing we've got to look forward to, really, in terms of a Champions League game. Of course, top 4, yes, we've got that to look forward to. By the end of the day, it's not a trophy, is it? What do you guys reckon? 1-1 going into the game, Man United at home. I think everyone's available apart from Luke Shaw. Kish, just quickly, what are your thoughts on the game?
I see it being a terrible game to watch, if I'm honest. I'm not going to lie to you at all. I can see it.
Right, IQ, we're going out.
Honestly, I hope I'm wrong, but whoever's got tickets for this, Jesus. Because I can just see Simeone just sapping the pressure. I can just see it sitting back and doing what he did against Liverpool a few seasons ago. I can actually see this one going to extra time, but I can see Atletico nicking it 1-0 in extra time.
Okay, I mean, that sounds fairly accurate. I'm not going to knock it. Daniel, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go with Atletico, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ronaldo scores a goal and pulls out the bag for them and whatnot. So, I mean, 1-1 is in the balance. No more away goals, so it's literally just a shootout. Whoever wins the game goes through. I do think you were very fortunate to get the goal.
Yeah, I agree.
Away from home, so it just depends on what happens. Do I think United have what it takes? Definitely, but am I going to lean towards Atletico? Yeah, I am. It just depends on how you feel as well. If as a United fan, I was speaking to a United fan who said to me that he'd rather go out narrowly with a good fight today or tomorrow than face Bayern or City or Liverpool in the next round and get smacked. So I don't know about how you feel about that.
Okay, I mean, I can understand that, to be fair. For me personally, if we win this game, we'll get drawn against Bayern. It's inevitable. I don't want to be like Arsenal, 10-2 and shit. Do you know what I mean? Because Bayern are that one of those.
Do you think Ronaldo or Rashford will start, by the way?
For me personally, if Elanga
Elanga
doesn't
will
start, I'm going to be massively disappointed.
I think Elanga will start.
Yeah.
Because well, regardless of whether he deserves it or not, he offers us balance and he offers us work rate, which is something we're not getting with Rashford at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, as I've said on numerous occasions, you've got to do the bare minimum as a footballer, which is put in a shift. That's the first thing. That's something that every footballer, we expect that from you. It's not like, oh, well done. Like, you don't get a pat on the back for that. At the end of the day, that's what I should expect from you. And Rashford's not even doing that. He's running less than Pogba, which is just blasphemy, really. If you're running less than Pogba,
By the
way,
listen, and you might just. Obviously I watched the whole Spurs v Man United game. Pogba, by the way, was atrocious, and
Yeah, he didn't have a
also
good game.
I could see why the Jogba comes up because his work rate is literally after 45 minutes he's tanked. Like
No, but
he looked knackered though. I don't know what was wrong with him.
knackered. Like he's gone.
He actually looked tired though. Like
this is the thing though, and obviously Usman, you always get onto me for this. This is the same thing I was talking about with Son. Like Son is nowhere near, in my opinion, the quality of Pogba.
No,
it might not relate as much, but my thing is Pogba is a world-class player who doesn't perform at his world-class ability like he should, and that's just my point. I just think over a 38-game season, we see it in literal blotches. 2 games here, 2 games there. Maybe I have a little bit of an injury layoff for 2 games there, but he's better than that. Like he is.
Yeah, it is disappointing. I can't lie, it is disappointing.
Other than Ronaldo, maybe Varane, I don't know what the rankings are, but he is definitely a top 3 player in that team. Probably top 3 midfielders again on his day in the Premier League. But he doesn't show it near enough. And I think I get hated for wanting the best out of a player that I want to see the best in.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're right.
By the way.
You are right. You are right. I mean, obviously, I can't sit here and say he played well against Spurs. I think he was absolutely shocking, and I tweeted it straight away. And I think for me, it's important. I did tweet that because I'm extremely biased with Pogba, and I think we all know. But I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it. It's not acceptable at the end of the day. If I'm saying it about Rashford, I've got to hold Pogba to the same, same.
His work rate was really poor.
I know what with Pogba, right? And again, I'm not making it's not an excuse. I just think with Rashford, I don't think Rashford's tired, but with Pogba, I actually looked tired physically. Like he looked.
Yeah, he does look leggy.
Yeah, he
that
just
second half. I don't know how.
I was screaming for him to come off. This is what I mean. We've got Lingard on the bench, energy. Just get him on the pitch, fresh legs. And he didn't. I didn't know. This is what I don't understand with Ralph. And the manager like Pep did it today. Fresh legs, new ideas, etc., etc. We've got Lingard on the bench. He should have come on for Pogba. Pogba looked dead after 60 minutes. So
the thing is with these managers, they think particularly Pogba, Ranić's probably thinking it only takes Pogba one pass.
Yeah,
one opportunity for him to, and that's what he's thinking because it's a bit like Bruno, where Bruno might lose the ball. But the thing is, it's
because we had Matic on as well. He took Matic off and kept Pogba on. So that was a bit of an issue, but obviously we'll have to come. But yeah, for me personally, Danny, just to come back to what you said, I think he's had 5 good games since he's come back from his return. And I think he's had 1 okay game and 2 very poor games. The Atletico Madrid game in the first leg, he was okay. It was nothing special. But obviously this game against Spurs, he was absolutely shocking. I think there was another game he was shocking as well. I can't remember who it was against. It might have been Brighton. But there was another. It might be Brighton. But he's had 2 really, really poor games. And he needs to improve. He needs to be more consistent. And for me, I always say that the top players, they step up when it matters. Whether you're a clutch player or not, in these big games, i.e. tomorrow, he needs to put in a good performance. He needs to be a 7 or 8 out of 10 for people to put respect on him.
I genuinely think that if Pogba turns up tomorrow, you win the game because a good Pogba helps players like a Ronaldo up front because he provides the service.
I mean, I don't even know if he's going to start.
That's why for me, Pogba's vital, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to start. I tweeted something earlier and I'm getting shit for it right now as we speak. I tweeted that I don't want Bruno to start or Pogba to start because I don't think both of them can play in this game. But
I think he's going to play Fred and Bruno, I think.
Yeah, most likely. Right, okay. So obviously you both go for Atletico Madrid win. To be honest, as the draw came out, I thought we'd lose this tie. João Felix for me is scaring the shit out of me. He's just found his form as well off the back of scoring that goal against us. And he likes to hover in that space where De Bruyne absolutely terrorizes the other day. So that corridor uncertainty where the defender or the midfielder doesn't know who's picking him up, so to speak. So I think he's gonna terrorize. He's just giving me Kaka vibes, man. When Kaka came to my United at OT, it's just giving me those vibes again that just terrorizing us. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we score first. If we don't score first, and if Atletico score first, it's game over, basically. There's no way we're going to break through their defense. And if we try to, they'll probably get us on the break and kill the game. Suarez, Griezmann off the bench. If the game goes to extra time, I just think they've got too much quality for us. But obviously, I've got to back Man United. I'm just going to say 1-0 Man United. The shittest game you're going to see this week. So if you're a neutral, probably don't watch it. But if you're a Man United fan, obviously, it's going to be tense and it's going to be horrible. But listen, we're going to end the podcast there because it's extremely late, a lot later than we normally obviously do the podcast. If you're watching this on repeat, get your comments down below. Of course, slap a like, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to follow me on my socials, Usman Talks United on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. But before we go, Kish, let the people know where they can find you, my brother.
Yeah, at Keishindu on Instagram and Twitter. And please like, subscribe, share all the good stuff for Usman Talks United for weekly and daily content as well.
Yes. Daniel, let the people know they can find you, my guy.
Daniel Bamaji, right here. That's where you can find me.
You love to see it. Anyways, that has been your show. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, with the Watch Night, as you can imagine. Wednesday's a bit of a busy day for me, as is Thursday and Friday, so I don't know how much content I'm making this week. But tomorrow we definitely will have content, and the next day will probably be Thursday. So please do subscribe, stay tuned, all that good stuff. Apart from that, it's been your voice, man.